Hey, what's up guys? Node Investor here. I want to give you guys an update on Bitcoin. Where are we at? Is it topping? Is it the top? Are we going to bounce here? A lot of good questions, a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty with news about regulation. And yes, a lot of this is news driven, a lot of this is rumors, but you still got to take into consideration the price action. FUD or no FUD. The price action is real. We're seeing some big selling. We're seeing some big volume coming in on the sell side. And we're seeing lower tops. So that's the reality. So let's see where we're going next. So looking at the 4-hour chart, this is the near term. We had the top right around 5,000. Big break to the downside. A lot of volume. On the bounce, volume wasn't really all that great. And we had this big break on the downside here. So we pretty much bounced right into this little bit of a resistance area around $4,700. That's the zone I'm looking at right now. And then we had a downside. We're bouncing right now. And so one of the things I'm looking at is this little bit of a trend that's starting to form with these lower tops. And so we're going to want to break that trend first. On the horizontal support, you know, this area around 4,000 basically is our key support area. And so if you look at this, what you don't want to see happen, which potentially is forming, is a little bit of a descending triangle. That's a bearish pattern that tends to resolve itself to the downside. And so what I'm going to want to see is during this next test right here, right around 44.50 or so, can we break above this resistance here? That's going to be a key test. If we fail at that level and start to bounce down, then that could potentially be a descending triangle, which we're not going to want to see. And right now the good news is we've held this support twice. That's good news. That's a lot of buying is coming in there. Looking at the daily charts, you can see these big support bars to the downside. So even though the volume is high and it's definitely a red day, you know, it gets bought up as it comes below this 4,200 level. So every time it's been below that, good volume has shown up, good support action so far. We've still not broken that downtrend, however, and so that's the level that I'm going to want to watch get broken to the downside. And the first level will be this 10 EMA, this descending 10 EMA on the daily chart, which is right now trailing down, so we're going to want to get above that. So the good news is it's held this 30 EMA on the upside, so as of now, we're still in a bull trend. We've not broken that uptrend, that general uptrend. We're basically pulling back to this key moving average. We're going to want to see that hold. Now, there's no doubt about it. The market feels a little toppy here. Feels a little extended. We've had this huge run. Is it the top, the ultimate top that puts Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies into this longer term bear? I'm going to say possibly at this point. It's definitely in the cards right now. And when you think back at just how far we've come this year, I mean, just looking at, you know, where was Bitcoin at the start of the year? You know, we were basically $1,000. We've had this huge run up to 5,000 before pulling back. The altcoin market has exploded. Let's go to CoinMarketCap. So if we look at this CoinMarketCap and we just look at the 2017 charts, I mean, we've basically started the year at $18 billion. We literally 10x'd from that point up to the peak, which was right around, you know, 179 or so. Let's just call it 180. I mean, it's almost a 10x, and now we're coming down. Series of lower highs so far. The altcoin market's similar, but just look at the magnitude. I mean, we started the altcoins at $2.2 billion, and that went as high as $97 billion. That's incredible. And granted, a lot of that was Ethereum, a lot of that was Ripple, and some of these big names, big cap names. Some of the ones were not even on the scene yet. Neo, Go, some of these good names, and I get it. I mean, there's new stuff that's factoring into this, and so you have to take some of that into consideration. Now, on the downside here, you know, we've come down already to 72 billion, and that correlates with this prior top here, 72 billion. So that's a good support level that we're going to want to see held, or plus or minus a few percent there. If we break that and we make a bounce here, make a lower top and start to come down, that's not going to be good for the market. It could potentially set up a longer term bear, especially after we had this long correction, washed everything out. We had a big run up, and now we're starting another leg down. At this moment, it doesn't feel like the run-of-the-mill correction. It feels like something a little bit bigger, something deeper. And so I'm being extra cautious right now. I have moved out some of my core holdings into either from altcoin to Bitcoin or from Bitcoin into cash or equivalents. And I'm just being cautious. On my trading account, however, good opportunities right now. Good opportunities to trade it. I am taking advantage of some of these pops and some of these short-term setups, and just kind of being a little conservative right now, just in light of the market and some of the recent action that we're seeing here. Until I see this resolve to the upside, or if we see another leg down, I'm going to just stay on the sidelines in a large portion of my portfolio and wait for some more clues and signals. Now, there's still some bright spots, yes, and I'll get to those right now, but let's just do some deeper technical analysis on Bitcoin. If we look at the last big correction we had, it peaked around basically 3,000, and over the next 6 weeks or so, we saw this big downdraft that took us down 39% basically. So that's pretty substantial. And the thing is, with Bitcoin going down 37, 38% is huge for the altcoins, and we saw many altcoins come down 70, 80% or more in some cases. And so that's why Bitcoin coming down that much is so important. Now, right now, we've seen Bitcoin come down from the peak. At the lows, it's been down 20%. And while 20% is not the end of the world for Bitcoin, it's a substantial downdraft for the altcoins. I mean, we've seen Ethereum come down substantially. We've seen Neo, which already was in a correction, come down even further. We've seen some other names come down 50, 60%. So just something to keep in mind. That's why I move sometimes from the altcoins back to Bitcoin when the market feels a little bit shaky, because yes, Bitcoin can come down, but I'd rather come down 5 to 10% than 20 to 40%. Now, looking at this correction that we had here, I'm not sure if we're going to see something like this, but we're already down 20%, and we've bounced a little bit here, so we could go a little bit more on the downside. The first level of resistance that I'm looking at is going to be this support level we saw a few weeks back when we had that big spike low, and that's basically around 3,600. And then below that, it's going to be this little consolidation, which is around 34 and a little bit higher there, so $34 to $3,500. So this is a little bit of a zone that I'm looking at. Certainly this moving average could hold, but the 50-day hasn't really been a big support level historically, so I pretty much would just discount that level as far as a key support level at this time and just look at the price levels in terms of where we could come down. Now, if we do some Fibonacci retracements, let's see how that pans out. So if we do that from the breakout here around 2850 or so, go up to the top at the peak, you can see the first level is this 382 level, and we're right there. So we've hit that several times and closed above it. That's a good sign. That's the first retracement level. The next level down would be this 618, which corresponds with the 3600 mark a little bit. It's 3650. And then the last level down is the 78% retracement, and that would take you all the way down to 3300. And so that'd be a big move down still from this point. So if we look at where we're at now, if we went all the way down to that, I mean, that's another 22% for Bitcoin. And like I said, 22% may not sound like a lot for Bitcoin, especially if you're used to trading altcoins, but 22% down in Bitcoin is going to devastate the altcoin market, in my opinion. There may be a few holdouts like we saw last time when Bitcoin was going down, Litecoin was holding up, but for the most part, if we went down 22% in Bitcoin, you're going to see huge down moves in the altcoin market. So that's just the way they go. They leverage the Bitcoin moves both ways, and so you just have to keep that in mind. Those are the levels I'm watching. I do sound a little bearish. I get it. Long term, I am super optimistic in the crypto space. I think there's going to continue to be winners. There's definitely continue to be trades to be made. You're going to see those big pops. Things will break out. And we're still seeing a few names near or at all-time highs. But overall, the market is under pressure. And so you just got to be cautious. I'm hearing a few things out there like don't look at the charts, quit looking at the charts, shouldn't look at the price action every day. And while I agree you shouldn't look at the charts every 5 minutes, 24/7, you should look at the charts. Technical analysis is very important. And even if you say this is just FUD, it's just news, it's rumors, people are trying to manipulate the market, that may be true. But technical analysis will still show where the market thinks it wants to go. There's some key support levels that if they get taken out, people's stops get taken out, and that invites further selling. And if we're in a downtrend, you should be aware of that. So that's why I look at the charts. So don't ignore the charts. You don't necessarily need to watch them 24/7, but you should pay attention. Look at some key support levels, understand where we're at in terms of the market, and never get in a position where you're down 50, 60, 70%. I say that a lot, but unfortunately, I'm still seeing people give advice out there that says, if you're up on one, sell it, sell your profits, and if you're down or in a loss position, just hold it and it'll come back. Maybe, and that's actually the opposite of what you should do. You should take your losses quick, keep your losses small, and let your winners ride longer and maximize the profits. And most people tend to do the opposite. They'll sell their winners quickly, and then they'll hold on to losers longer than they should, and essentially offset some of the big gains that they've made in other places. So it takes a lot of discipline to do that. I'm guilty of it myself. And, it's just psychology, fear, and greed, what drives the markets. And so just keep that in mind. But the point is, have a plan. Have an idea of, okay, if it drops below a certain price, maybe I'll get out of the way and let it come down. Again, technical analysis helps because then you can have some targets to where it might come down to, and that would set up some great buying opportunities. And so just be extra careful, be extra cautious. I mentioned a few bright spots right now in the market. Omise Go continues to be one that is holding up well. Again, looking nice, basically near all-time highs, still riding that 10 EMA. So as long as that continues to hold, I'm going to be holding my position in Omise Go and just kind of riding this one up. But if you're feeling cautious, maybe take some profits, move some off the table, and let the rest ride. But it just kind of depends on where you bought it to. I mean, the last time I bought some was down in this consolidation here around this. I think it was $8 or $9 is where it was at, and from that point we're still up 42%. So definitely has been a decent gain in a couple weeks. Has been very volatile, but still holding up well. And it doesn't hurt to bank some profits if that's what you feel like you need to do right now. Another one is ARK, smaller cap name, but one I'm holding. And I talked to you guys about that when it was back here just a few days ago, and so far it's moving up. Since that last video, it's up 23% just in a couple days. So there's still some bright spots. Some things are still working versus BTC. So just look at that. There's always going to be good trades. There's always going to be setups. But in this market, you got to keep a tighter leash on things. Watch your stops. Make sure you have that discipline in place. And lastly, Lisk is one I was noting, and that one is still setting up near the highs. It's tried to break out a few times, but hasn't been able to yet. But just keep an eye on that. I mean, we're basically right there. The levels I'm looking at is here. If we zoom in a little bit on the 4-hour chart, you get a better view of that. And so on a closing basis, if you want to play it safe, these are the two levels that I'm looking at right here. That's about 171,000 Satoshi. So watch that. Still holding up well. Obviously, if it breaks down, then that's going to negate this potential setup. And so looking good, but not really any buy signals yet. So that's going to do it for tonight, guys. It should be an interesting week. There's going to be some key levels that we need to watch. Again, on the upside, look for that break above 44.50 in Bitcoin. And on the downside, 4,000's got to hold this week. Till next time, take care, guys.